put a stake in the ground, we can now start to piece together the geography of the Book of Mormon in the place where it really happened. Let's pound the first survey stake in the ground on the east bank of the upper Mississippi at river mile 369.5. We are getting ahead of our story. Let's start at the beginning. The River Sidon and the city of Zerahemla are always together in the Book of Mormon. Zerahemla is the largest city, and River Sidon is the only river mentioned by name. Our geography for Zerahemla starts with the River Sidon. It is clear that Sidon and the Mississippi are the same. The best place to start is to identify the exact spot where Robert E. Lee soundings from his 1837 survey indicate the crossing of the River Sidon by Alma's army in the Battle of Zarahemla of 87 BC, as found in the Book of Mormon. We are working with the Rock Island District of the Army Corps of Engineers, and they are searching for Colonel Wilson's 1866 survey of the Des Moines Rapids. That survey has 40,000 soundings. We expect that these details will soon be available. Colonel Wilson's survey will give us more confirmation. Today we received from the Army Corps of Engineers chart number 96 of the upper Mississippi River. Using this chart and Lee's 1837 soundings, we estimate that Alma's crossing would have been plus minus 200 feet from river mile 369.5 on the chart. How does the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers measure the river mile of the upper Mississippi River? Would you believe that all navigational charts used on that part of the river refer to the river mile as the distance north from the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers? Consider the image of a stick figure with the hands up above the head. Looking at this simple figure of a man, let the right arm be the Missouri River and the left arm be the Ohio River. The head of the river is the point where the two rivers come together. Each year, more than 50 million tons of freight travel on the upper Mississippi River. That's why the boat captains need to have a point of reference where they are likely to be when they are traveling on the river. Using the practical, everyday use of the river mile, it would have made sense for the ancient people of Zerahemla to refer to the head of River Sidon in the same way as today's charts are used by riverboat captains when they make their serious calculations of where they are on the upper Mississippi River. The Home Office asks the river captain, "Where are you on the river?" His reply is given in river miles, or the distance from the confluence of the Ohio and the Mississippi. The ancient people would have also asked, "Where are you on the river?" Their answer would be, "So and so distance from the head of the river." Zerahemla is north of the head, and the river flows south from Zerahemla. We hope that you get the picture. The attached chart and drawing show the details for the place of crossing. The point immediately becomes a place of high interest. According to the Book of Mormon, Alma Chapter 2, both the Amlicites and the Nephites crossed the River Sidon. The Amlicites on the evening of the first day of battle, and the Nephites on the morning of the second day. On that second day, while Alma's army was still in the water crossing, the Amlicites, with reinforcement from the Lamanites, began the second battle. Alma killed Amlici in the water. The crossfire coming from the river's west bank would have filled the bottom of the River Sidon with points from tens of thousands of arrows. Because the points have been buried by water for 2,000 years, there is a likelihood that a large collection of these points is at the bottom of the river at the place of crossing near the west bank. We are making a digital map for the bottom of the river at the crossing. We are also getting additional information from geologists to describe the unusual horizontal limestone ledges that are on the bottom at River Mile 369.5. These limestone ledges made it possible for the Nephites and the Amlicites to walk across the River Sidon. Also, another detail from Alma Chapter 3, verse 2 confirms a point for the river crossing in 87 BC. The crossing occurred in the fall, at the time when fields of grain were destroyed and trodden down by the hosts of men. In the season of harvest, the water level of the River Sidon is at its lowest annual point, making the likelihood of a successful river crossing higher. We believe that at this point we can begin to create the geography for Zerahemla. From here we will go 5 miles north to the city itself to make magnetic scanning for tens of thousands of fire pits that are buried in the ground as an indicator of the habitation of the large city that is completely lost to the modern world.